Our third and final pick in today's episode sees 7th place Brighton and Hove Albion playing host to 9th place Aston Villa. And Brighton, they drew their last game away to Manchester City. The Seagulls were behind after 11 minutes thanks to Erling Haaland's penalty, but they refused to give up. Estupiñán levelled 10 minutes later before Marmush retook the lead for Manchester City. However, Brighton did manage to level the scores once again thanks to good fortune as Kusanov's deflected ball fell into the back of the net for the equaliser in the second half, and from there on they managed to hold out with the final scores ending 2-2. In terms of form, this result did stop a 4-game winning run, however the Seagulls remain unbeaten in the last 5 Premier League matches. They play an Aston Villa side who picked up a win against Brentford in their last Premier League game. A fairly evenly contested match was settled by Ollie Watkins' goal early in the second half against his former side. Looking at the stats, it was a fairly even game, with Brentford taking most of the possession as both sides took 12 shots and forced 3 saves from each of the goalkeepers. The main disparity between these two sides came from the expected goals, where we can see Aston Villa were around half a goal more creative than their hosts, and this is what ultimately settled the game. In terms of form, it's been mixed for Aston Villa. 2 out of 3 wins is good, but when we zoom out a little bit, we can see they've won 2 of the last 5 matches, with a draw against Ipswich Town and a loss to Crystal Palace by 4-1 in there as well. It's kind of a classic sign of a side that's struggling to maintain league form whilst they run deep in Europe. When we take a look at the head-to-head records, the previous fixture between these sides was a really exciting clash at Villa Park. Adingra got Brighton off to a fast start, scoring after 12 minutes, before Ollie Watkins levelled things up from the penalty spot ahead of half-time. Villa then continued their momentum into the second half, with Morgan Rogers netting just 2 minutes into the period. Then, with Aston Villa in the ascendancy and looking to kill off the game, it was Tyreek Lamptey that levelled the scores up for Brighton in the 82nd minute, with the final scores finishing 2-2. When we take a look at the numbers though, perhaps Villa will feel hard done by as they didn't get a result in this match, as they did edge Brighton on the major win predictor statistics, but both sides did combine for 33 shots, 5 big chances, and 2.91 XG. Longer term though, it's been mixed form between these two sides. Over the last 3 Premier League meetings, both sides have picked up a win and there's been a draw in there to boot. My prediction for today's game is that both sides are still in contention for European football. At the time of recording, Aston Villa are yet to play PSG in the Champions League, and Brighton also have an FA Cup quarter-final against Nottingham Forest to contend with. So both sides will come into this match high on confidence. Both sides have talented goal scorers but may lack in the defensive department at times, so I'm looking for a high-scoring match once again. Brighton have seen over 2.5 goals in each of their last 6 Premier League games, and this does include each of the last 3 matches at the Amex. Whereas Aston Villa, they've seen over 2.5 goals in 3 of their last 4 Premier League matches, and only in 2 of their last 4 away matches. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, 4 of the last 5 encounters have seen over 2.5 goals, so I'm going to back over 2.5 goals for a half stake in the final bet of today's episode.